Now, our first panelist is straight off the plane at 3 a.m. this morning and still surviving on coffee, bless her. Briar Prestige, the founder at Briar Prestige, the label, is coming to join us on stage. We also have Stevie Lomas, the founder at the Camel Soap Factory. Ellie Casby, the founder of Ellie Jr. Kay Robinson, director at the Makers Guild. And your moderator is Hala Zagheb, the head of retail at Snap Inc. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Hala. I work at Snap, and I'm very happy and pleased to be hosting this panel today. As a member of Snapchat ERG and Connected Women in Tech, we continuously seek to drive community outreach initiative, drive professional development mission, and invest in internal engagement in the aim of delivering business impact. So today, we will be discussing women's leadership within the retail and tech space, and covering topics relating to career growth, diversity, and sustainability. And I am honored to be conversing about these topics with 4 amazing entrepreneurs coming from a very rich and diverse background and several retail and tech industries. So Kay, Briar, Stevie, and Ellie, welcome. And perhaps we can start with a minute to introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie Casby. I'm the founder of Ellie Jr., the one-stop shop for premium products for families in the Middle East. We work very hard to be an inclusive, diverse company. We like to give back to the society with different projects. We have a charity shop. So I'm really pleased to be part of this panel today. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Briar Prestige, and I'm the founder and CEO of Prestige Group, which is a personal branding and PR agency. I've also got a suit label made from fine wool and cashmere blends, which is Briar Prestige, the label. And recently we created a spin-off NFT collection for avatars, and we showcased this at the world's first Metaverse Fashion Week, which was very exciting.
Hi, I'm Stevie Lomas. I'm the founder and CEO of the Camel Soap Factory. We've been around for about 10 years. We have a brand that represents the region with really beautiful handcrafted skincare products, largely made with regional ingredients such as camel milk, hennas, frankincense, etc.
Hi there, my name's Kay Robinson, and I am the founder and director of the Makers Guild retail store. We host over 50 small local vendor brands in our bricks and mortar retail outlet, and we pull together the best that the UAE has to offer in terms of talented artisans and designers.
Amazing, thank you so much. So my first question is to you, Briar. Can you share insights of women's representation and retail tech leadership in MENA?
Sure. So I think that women in tech are really starting to smash any glass ceiling that was there, and really refine how retail is continuing to evolve. Now, when I was looking at data of how many women are in retail tech, it was actually impossible to find any, but there was a report by WAMDA that suggested that 35% of the tech startups in the MENA region are actually founded by women, which is a lot higher than what we see on a global basis. In the Middle East especially, there are so many motivated, successful, and amazing women in tech, a lot of who are here today and have really played a part in shaping the region's industry. And I think seeing is believing, so I'm sure their presence and visibility will encourage more people to enter this space. But really what I see the bigger issue as being is actually getting people or women from entry-level positions and getting them into senior leadership positions. And I think this all comes down to flexibility in organizations, also overcoming unconscious bias, and coming up with mentorship and progression plans for women.
It is true that data, when it comes to women and leadership in MENA, remains a bit limited, but it's actually really great to see in for instance, if we take Expo or the Ministry of Youth, all of these big initiatives, particularly in the UAE, that was driven by women's leadership. So now on to Stevie and Ellie. And my question is, 16% of leadership roles in the UAE are women, and companies such as Masdar and Unilever pledged to increase that to 30% by 2025. How can we get more companies in our industry to join this pledge?
I mean, this ratio is sadly looks the same in all industries, but I feel especially in retail we have few role models. So I think first of all we need to have more role models in retail, and I hope I can be a role model for my children and show them that they can reach whatever they want and beyond. But I feel also our issue is that we need to normalize more that women can be leaders. I feel still in this region the stereotype is that the leader is a man. So I think we have still far way to go. I think there is a lot of initiatives happening here, especially in Expo. We had a lot of women-led workshops. But I love to see a change in this. I mean, in Europe, they do a lot of projects where they promote and support ladies. And I think in the workplace, you can support ladies by giving them more support, maybe training, leadership programs, give them mentors, give them a good way to come back to work after being home with their children. So I think there is still a lot of things we can do.
Yeah, it's a subject quite close to my heart. And I actually think that's going to take some innovative thinking on the part of these companies. Because unfortunately, I think there is gender bias at every level, and it exists within individuals, women who perhaps don't believe in themselves in quite the same way as men do. Even though they're perfectly competent and equal incompetence, right up to companies. As a company, we discovered that there was an absolute gold mine in Dubai. We were unable to afford some really quality staff at full-time positions. And I started putting the feelers out for maybe mothers at home, and discovered, and as this is especially 10 years ago, that there was this pool of amazing women who were on their husbands' visas, perhaps here, looking after children, who have now formed a core part of our workforce. And we offer very flexible conditions, very flexible hours. We use a lot of technology to support virtual meetings. But it is really interesting that even on my own board, I have had to persuade them to allow me to take on women with young babies. So it is a change of attitude that is required, even when I can show that it works. And as you say, I mean, both of you, I mean, I think the example of the UAE government is amazing in terms of their appointment of really powerful women like Rima Al-Hashmi to Expo, and that amazing lady on the Mars expedition. And 80% of her workforce are females.
So building on your thoughts, the main point that needs to be engaged to drive more women in those companies is around flexibility.
I think obviously flexible hours is a requirement in order to retain and training initiatives, but I also think it's encouragement and feeling comfortable within the company that they're in. Nobody wants to work in a toxic workplace, and if they feel that they're valued, they'll feel more confident in pushing themselves forward, and they will want to reward you with their loyalty.
Yeah. And talking about diversity, and a diverse workforce helps diverse ideation and innovation. Can you share examples, Kay, about how diversity has propelled innovative projects and initiatives to come to fruition within your scope of business?
Yeah, the example I'm actually going to use is my own business. We're a very innovative business in such as that we don't buy any wholesale stock. So everything that we stock is purely consignment stock from local vendors. The other concept that's quite innovative is that we don't have many walls. We're an open concept, a little bit like duty-free. So that's a very different use of retail space than a traditional model. Now, although we don't have a very big workforce at the moment, we're just starting out, we're a tiny fish in a big pond, we do class our suppliers as our workforce also, just because we've got the consignment stock agreement, and there's a lot of trust involved in having that. They're trusting us with their products, and they have great ideas to bring on board. So that diversity from having over 50 small local vendors with us, we have a great variety of gender, we have a great variety of age group, definitely nationalities, and different levels of business understanding as well. And I think by constantly meeting with those people, facilitating collaborations between them, it's enabled us to have different projects, like art projects that we've had, and there's one ongoing now, and just in getting us to where we are so quickly. The diversity has been everything. And it also gives a greater improved cultural wellness. And obviously we're based a lot around creativity, and diversity is crucial for creativity.
I think if I can add to that, Kay, and thank you so much for sharing those insights. I think today we engage in a region that is quite diverse. And in order for us to win within the retail and tech space, we need to understand. And understanding that requires hiring the expertise that is diverse, that can answer the needs and enable you to win within the scope. Thank you so much. Back to you, Stevie and Ellie. So my next question is around sustainability. And sustainability is no longer just a nice to have or a part of a company's CSR drive. So how can you ensure that these principles become a part of the DNA of everything a retailer and brand does, sells, and communicates?
Okay, I can start. I mean, as a business, we have a responsibility. And I think it's not just sustainability. We need to include everyone. We need to make everyone feel that they're included. So diversity, inclusivity, and sustainability are big parts of my DNA, my core values, and that's something I try to teach my staff. Because our customers are diverse. So we need to understand our customers. So we need to also be diverse. And I feel like the next generation, Generation Z, will demand us to be inclusive. They demand us to be sustainable. So this is a big part of our work to make sure that we source locally, we source in a good, sustainable way. We try to source as much organic fabric as possible. And that it's always a journey that continues to make sure that we are as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so much of it is to do with sourcing. Sustainability is part of the DNA of the Camel Soap Factory. It's part of the product we created. So we tend to attract retailers who operate in quite a similar sort of space, looking to offer sustainable products as part of their product portfolio. And it's not just about sustainable manufacturing, but everything about our product, from raw materials all through to packaging. And we're also looking at new product formulation, trying to address problems that we see coming down. I mean, one of the issues that we really feel needs to be addressed quite critically is the amount of plastic. Plastic in the ocean, plastic in our bathrooms, plastic in our kitchens. So we're really focused on trying to create products that address some of the issues with too much plastic in our lives. One of the things that we're introducing, for example, is something like solid hair care. One of the issues that we find is that you have to overcome mindsets. So even if you have a sustainable business and a sustainable retailer, if the consumer doesn't have the right mindset, it makes a difference. And particularly in this region, we found that there's a certain amount of education, particularly to persuade people that even a little bit is worth doing, because every little thing that you do makes a difference. There's years and years of preconceptions have been marketed to that certain products, for example, are great for you. You have to change those preconceptions, really, to start moving the market to people viewing sustainability as something that they want to buy. And you've also got to prove to retailers that it's equally profitable to them. The sustainability has to be profitable in the end.
This is, thank you so much. This is actually very interesting. And it is true. I think the misconception about sustainability is where companies think that it only evolves around manufacturing and product. where actually it's also a big topic that needs to be tackled when it comes to people's engagement internally and externally. But if I can just add to this question, and if you need to bring in some advices to those retail companies, from where do you think they should be starting?
Advisors on sustainability? Well, look to the companies that make sustainable products, number one, I would say. And there's a myriad of advisors out there. I think that you can find just by Googling.
I've got a point that I would like to add to that. I think there's some really exciting things that are happening in terms of digital fashion. You know, I know that ASOS is sending out, they're not sending out clothes anymore to influencers. Influencers are sending their photos in. They might be in their gym kit or their pajamas or whatever. And as a back-end function, they are fitting these photos with the clothes. So it works really well because then influencers or social media driven people aren't buying things once to wear it. We're actually using technology to help overcome this. And, you know, certainly with the work that I've been doing with the Metaverse Fashion Council and also with my spin-off NFT collection for avatars, that's completely sustainable. Of course, I don't believe that we're going to spend 24/7 in the metaverse or virtual reality, but I do think it is, you know, a really great place to interact and is far more, you know, sociable than the two-dimensional Zoom or social media.
Just bringing it back to locally and in the region, and just what Stevie was saying about consumer persuasion, the UAE have obviously just announced initiatives that's going to affect a lot of retailers, which is the single-use bags and charging for them, which comes into place in just a few days. So in Europe, that is something that is just taken for granted now because it was implemented a long time ago. It'll be interesting to see how customers react to being charged for a single-use bag rather than a reusable bag in the coming months as well.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Especially your note, Briar, when it comes to virtual try-ons. This is something that we heavily believe on and we always try to push forward from Snap perspective because AR is at the heart of sustainability. Is going to be one of the key elements to drive sustainability in the present and in the future for retail. And to continue with you, Briar, so is there a case of more women being promoted in certain roles and departments over other when it comes to specific tech, when it comes to the tech industry? And do you see a problem there?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly a male-dominated industry, tech. Often I go to crypto events and there's lots of males there and hardly any females, so I think I certainly see that with my own eyes. And I do think that gender bias does exist in the workplace, and you know, it's bad for both genders, you know. Marketing sometimes seen as a more female-driven, whereas on the tech side of things, that's sometimes seen as more male-driven. So I think we all need to be aware that unconscious bias does exist, and that's not true, you know. Women make up 50% of the population. It is very important that our organizations reflect this internally, because if we do not have, you know, almost 50% of women making decisions on product and services, then it's just going to affect the product or service at the end of the day. I do think that we need to review our leave policies. I think that companies should look into providing egg freezing for women and, yeah, offering this sort of flexible working, because, hey, it's after the COVID pandemic now. The 9 till 6 sort of clock in, clock out, everyone needs to be seated at their desk. It just doesn't work like that anymore. Technology allows us to use our phones and, you know, we can do our job from anywhere in most cases. So why are we still trying to force people to sit at their desks and sit on their laptops and operate like that? It just does not make any sense.
Thank you so much, Briar. So this is a question to all of you ladies. Your network is your net worth. How can retailers in leadership roles support women to expand their network and connect to the right mentors? Many female leaders think that mentorship and returnship need to be given equal attention. Do you agree?
I'll happily start on this. It's really close to my heart. I think mentorship is critical. Mentorship helps in so many ways. I mean, when I started the business, I actually sought out a mentor and mentorship from an entrepreneurial perspective really focused me on what I was doing. But I think what happens when you've got a really good mentor or even a good coach is it builds confidence. Builds confidence in yourself, and investing in female leaders by building confidence, I think, is probably one of the most important things that you can do. I know one of the other problems a lot of female leaders have is asking for help and admitting perhaps that they don't know or can't do it. But providing an environment of coaching and mentorship allows you to ask questions and admit to things in a really safe environment.
I think that being a female entrepreneur with a standalone independent retail business, there isn't that many of us. It can be a lonely journey at times. But we are very lucky that in the UAE we have some fabulous women networking groups. I know Stevie's part of one, and myself, I'm part of Female Fusion, which has grown tremendously in the last few years. I've been with them since the start. And I've seen them do some fabulous work, right from people with a seed of an idea and some great mentorship programs that I've been both part of to mentor people, and I've been mentored myself. And there's benefits in both sides. Obviously, you're receiving advice, but obviously there's benefits of mentoring as well. It gives you confidence. There's a feel-good factor. It also practices your listening skills, your speaking skills. So yeah, fully for mentorship. And returnship, I think, is probably more female than males require this, because it is probably, we can't get around the fact that it is probably after return from having children, that you need a returnship. Probably less men have a career break or a break on their CV. And a returnship means that you're not starting from the very beginning. Just because you had a small break doesn't mean you need to start as an intern. You already have the skills that you'd acquired previously, so they are definitely equally as important.
I agree with both of you, and I think mentorship is crucial. I have been one of the lucky women that found an amazing woman that mentored me in the same industry that I am in. And I don't think I would be where I am without her support, so I'm super grateful, and I wish that all the ladies had these opportunities. And I know there is few ladies in retail industry, so I think this is something that you all can do to offer ladies in your organizations a mentor, a senior leader that can mentor the ladies, because this is, I feel like men are much better in finding colleagues that mentor them. They go and play golf, or they go and play paddle, and they connect much easier, I think. So I think we ladies need some support here.
And I think as well that as women in leadership positions, we need to be visible. We need to be putting ourselves out there on LinkedIn. We need to be sharing what we're doing with, all of the people who are up and coming. Because when we're visible, we inspire people. And I think that this is really important. We've all got a lot of knowledge to share. So yeah, why not just share it?
Hello, yeah, the one thing also I'd add, and this is just to add to Kay's point, is there are amazing organizations out there. I mean, I belong to something called Entrepreneurs Organization, which has actually got a group within it called Women of EO. And it's an amazingly supportive network with some astonishing women that are in there, who support each other, provide mentorship and guidance on a more informal basis, and which makes a massive difference. And there's really good retail forums that happen constantly, which are more networking. I think women instinctively don't network quite the same way as men, and sometimes it takes a bit of practice, but it's enormously useful and to be encouraged, I think, in companies.
Thank you so much. So I will end the panel with the last question to Stevie and Kay. Various statistics over the year have demonstrated that women-led businesses are less likely to get funded. Is that true in this region? Why and how can this be addressed? And the reason why I chose Stevie and Kay, because I know that Stevie has been funded and Kay is self-funded. So I'd love to get the perspective from both ends.
Yeah, it's true. Female entrepreneurs have a much tougher time getting funds. We were funded last year, But just a couple of statistics. Women-led startups received just 2.3% of venture capital in 2020. 2.3%. Half the companies that applied for cash were female-led. And according to researchers from Columbia Business School, businesses led by women are 63% less likely to get VC funding than those led by men. So there's clearly an issue. One of the issues, Harvard Business School has done quite a lot of research into this, is that women tend to not be very, they don't approach raising funds from a pitch perspective. Men typically pitch. Women are much more data-driven, spend a lot more time making sure that the statistics and the numbers support the business case. Unfortunately, the VC world and fundraising world is very, very pitch-led. And there's some startling statistics. A study done also by Harvard Business School took one business case, one pitch, identical, and they sent it out to a group of MBA students to ask them to assess whether they would put money into this business or not. They attached a female's photograph to the one pitch. They attached a male photograph to the other pitch. They then, on the other two ones they said that money had been raised, and they attached a male VC head to the one, and they attached a female photograph for a VC-led company for the other. The shocking thing, exactly the same pitch, is that the male-led pitch was voted as better, more, it was just astonishing, the numbers. What's even more frightening is that if you get funded as a woman by a female-led VC, you're much less likely to raise money in the future. That is because you're often seen as being funded because you're a woman and not because of your skills. And it's a problem that exists here. We raised funds. I'm afraid I did it. I got a man to front it. Was the easiest way to do it. We simply had to play the game. I think it's a real shame, and I think the way it's going to change is if funds start looking at the data underlying the business cases as opposed to the theatrical pitch that goes along with it. It won't change till then. But this is not a problem just for this region. It's a worldwide problem.
Yeah, I obviously knew that there was going to be issues in trying to get funding. I've got other ladies in a similar position, and I know how much work that they've put in, and how much management time is taken doing this, how demotivating it can be. I have to say that was one factor, although it wasn't my overriding factor. I'm quite new to the retail game. My background is in accountancy and finance. And so it was more that I wanted to retain control of all of our decision making and not sell a stake of the business at that point. It enables you to, self-funding enables you to test a business idea with very minimal external risks. What it does mean, though, is that it's a slower growth, which is not always a bad thing. I think we chose it just because it suited our particular business model. As we are all consignment stock, we didn't need the money to purchase stock. We didn't have cash flow tied up. We weren't manufacturing. We didn't need to buy the latest raw material or equipment. So would I recommend it for everybody? No, probably not. It's not a good fit for everyone. But for us, it was a good option. And I was lucky enough to be in a position to be able to do that. Obviously, you run the risk of taking very little or no salary to start off with, but then after that, all the profits are yours. You're not sharing them with anybody else. I didn't come across any problems, based on my gender or otherwise, with being self-funded with the banks or anybody else.
Thank you so much for sharing those perspectives, and thank you all for the time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.